Imagine walking into your own luxury golf resort, the place you've poured millions into, only to be told, "You're not welcome." That's exactly what happened to me last week, and trust me, you won't believe the nerve of this woman. It all started on a sunny Thursday morning. I had just arrived at my private golf club, the one I've owned for over 5 years, planning a quiet day on the greens. I pulled into the parking lot, expecting the usual friendly faces of my staff and members. But what I got instead was a scene straight out of a sitcom. Standing at the entrance was a woman I'd seen around the club before, but never really had an issue with. She was impeccably dressed, her designer sunglasses glinting in the sunlight, and she had that unmistakable air of someone who believed rules existed only for everyone else. You know the type. And before I could even say, "Hello," she pointed at me and shouted, "You're trespassing! Security, remove him immediately!" I froze. Trespassing? Me? On my own property? My heart was pounding, not from fear, but pure disbelief. I walked up calmly, thinking maybe she was joking, or perhaps confused. I introduced myself, explaining that I was, in fact, the owner of the resort. But she wouldn't listen. She doubled down, telling the security guards I had no right to be on the premises and insisting that they escort me off the property. What happened next was a surreal mix of comedy and frustration. The security team, caught between protocol and confusion, looked at me like I was the villain in some bizarre drama. I showed them my identification, my ownership papers, every document proving I had full authority over the resort, but she still refused to back down. It was as if I'd walked into an alternate universe where logic didn't exist. Meanwhile, my other staff members started gathering, whispering in disbelief, and some of them were trying not to laugh. I could feel my blood pressure rising as she lectured me about following rules and respecting the premises, completely oblivious to the fact that she had zero authority. By this point, I was torn between laughing, crying, and calling my lawyer. But before I could make any decisions, she stormed off, muttering something about filing a formal complaint against me for trespassing. And just like that, I was officially banned from my own property. Trust me, the story doesn't end there. The audacity of this Karen will shock you even more. And that's just the beginning. After being told I was banned from my own golf resort, I knew I couldn't just sit back and let this Karen rewrite reality. I had invested years of sweat, blood, and a small fortune into creating a paradise where guests could relax, play, and enjoy the finest amenities. But now, one woman thought she could turn me into the trespasser. The first step was to confront the absurdity head-on. I requested a meeting with the security manager, who was still visibly uncomfortable. I could tell he felt stuck between following orders and acknowledging the obvious fact. I was the owner. I presented my ownership documents, detailed permits, and even the latest insurance papers. Every piece of evidence screamed the same thing. I had every right to be on the property. Yet somehow, that wasn't enough to sway the Karen in question. I decided it was time to take a more strategic approach. Instead of a verbal confrontation, I turned to the video footage from the club's security cameras. There she was, loudly accusing me of trespassing, pointing at me as if I'd broken some unthinkable law, while security looked helpless. Watching the footage, I realized this was no ordinary Karen situation. This was a full-blown power trip, the kind that demanded careful handling. Next, I called a private meeting with my longtime staff and department heads. "We have to document everything," I told them. "Emails, statements, security logs, everything. If she's going to try to challenge my authority, we need an airtight record." They nodded, some stifling laughter, some shaking their heads in disbelief. Even seasoned managers couldn't believe someone had tried to ban the owner from the property. Then came the inevitable confrontation. I tracked her down in the clubhouse, calmly approached her and asked, "Do you realize I own this resort?" She gasped, fumbled for words, and tried to justify her actions with a flurry of excuses about safety protocols and guest privacy. But I stayed composed. There was no yelling, no tantrums, just quiet authority. And slowly, The ridiculousness of the situation began to dawn on her. By the end of the day, the resort staff had officially reinstated my access, and the Karen reluctantly backed off, though not without leaving a trail of passive-aggressive comments behind. I had reclaimed my turf, but the story had left a mark. It was a lesson in patience, documentation, and handling the most audacious entitlement you could imagine. So yes, I was banned. And yes, I got unbanned. But the memory of that day, watching someone challenge my ownership with zero authority, will stay with me forever. And let me tell you, it makes for one unbelievable story. Thanks for watching, everyone! If you enjoyed this crazy story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a wild HOA Karen story like this. Drop a comment below and tell me what you would do if someone tried to ban you from your own property. And if you found this video entertaining, give it a big thumbs up. It really helps me bring you more unbelievable stories.